All right, welcome to today's episode of the Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast. Some people know him as Nick from Lawnsingoodnick, but I know him as Lawnsingoodnick's wife's husband. Welcome to the podcast, Nick.
And that's it. Podcast over. See you later.
So, I mean, this is number 2. You've been on the podcast. Your Instagram has gone off the charts since you last came on. I think you had 60,000 last time. You got 90,000 now since you've been on the podcast. Am I right there? I'm on your Instagram here. I should just check.
About that. 90-ish, low 90s.
You know exactly what it is, don't you? Off the top of your head. Come on.
I'd say 92.
92.1.
There you go.
So am I the reason why you went from 60 to 90? I think I am. I think it's my 1,000 followers just, for whatever reason, caused that.
Yep, that's where the explosion happened for sure.
But lots of cool stuff's happening. You've been on the project, which is cool. Being on, well, how was that for like being on mainstream media? Like from small little YouTuber guy, little, Instagram following, and all of a sudden, bam. What was that whole experience like?
It was interesting. Yeah, it was, when was that? It was sort of early to mid-September, I think it was. And yeah, I just got an email through my website of a guy saying he was a producer at the project. And it was the sort of thing that I read and I was just like, okay, this is odd. This can't be real.
Yeah.
But I sort of Googled him and found his LinkedIn or whatever. I was like, okay, this looks legit. And in my personality would sort of be to go, I'll wait to talk to Kate about it. I'll think about it. I don't know. I was just like, nah, all right. Just called the number, spoke to him. That was on a Thursday. And then the following Thursday, they were at my house to record. And then it was up on TV on the project the following Wednesday, I think it was. So it all happened pretty quickly. And it was definitely a different sort of experience. I was like a part of a story. There was a few other people that they interviewed. And so it was all sort of mixed into one story about kind of spring lawn care and just lawn care as a hobby and people getting into it and all that sort of thing. So it was, cool to be a part of that. I think Kate actually got a bit more airtime than I did.
She keeps stealing the show with you, doesn't he? She's stealing your account. We'll talk about that in a minute, but she's...
Look, she's more than happy to take center stage. That's fine with me. So, but yeah, that was a really cool experience. And there has been a lot of growth in all of the social media stuff, which is great because, I think sort of a bit of a tagline that I've kind of tried to develop over time is that I'm trying to use my social media to get people off social media. Hopefully see what I'm doing, any sort of lawn care tips, any DIY projects. I'm really looking forward to my veggie garden. I think hopefully that'll encourage a few people to even just get a couple of garden beds and plant some veggies in there and grow some food for themselves, as well as other DIY stuff. Got a laundry renovation to hopefully get done inside the house probably this winter. We'll get that done, as well as obviously all the lawn care stuff and helping people get the knowledge to get out, be outside, and like I sort of led in with, put their phone down, get outside and get more things done. So it's been a lot of growth and it's really cool. Yeah.
You were pretty nervous jumping on the with all the TV crew and stuff like that, right? Or am I mistaken there? But it seemed like you were a bit like, oh, gee, what's this going to be like?
Yeah, I was definitely a bit nervous. It was just one camera guy that came out, and then Paul Waterhouse, the producer, he FaceTimed it. So we set a phone up on a tripod and sort of FaceTimed him. You didn't hear his voice at all in the story. I think it was Waleed Ali. He was narrated the story, but Paul was in it and he sort of interviewed us and asked all the questions, and we were there for probably 25 minutes that he interviewed Kate and I about and asked different things and just had a bit of a chat. The camera guy just recorded me mowing the lawn beforehand, and then so that was the easy part. And then although there's a lot of pressure to keep the stripes straight on that day. So I was definitely very nervous for it. It's just such a different thing. I guess someone put it to me that I don't know what the ratings or like the numbers are for the project, but more people have watched my videos on Instagram and, and
Mhm.
things like that than they have on the project. But still, just such a different thing being on, national TV. I guess is an odd thing for just a random dad who started Instagram however long ago.
It is. It's weird because it's kind of like I remember hearing an interview with Jason Hodges, who was the landscaping guy on Better Homes and Gardens for a very, very long time. And he was talking about how like TV's not the thing anymore, YouTube's the thing. I always thought about that. Like I just think TV's this dying art. I only watch TV now for sport, right? And even then, a lot of the time, it's I still have KO or I have Optus or whatever I'm paying for these streaming services. And I was down in Esperance with some family recently, and we're just watching it on Channel 7, watching the cricket, and it was like I prefer to pay for the Foxtel because the ads and how it is, and it's an interesting thing because it was something that we thought growing up that you couldn't get bigger than TV, but then you're kind of it's kind of true. It's a dying thing, and you do get more views on Instagram. You just told me before, like one of your videos on the weekends, 1.8 million views from a single. We can talk about the hate that's coming from that too, which is a funny story. But just on a TV thing, it is curious that the media's changed so much that just guys like you who are, career wise, just sort of started an Instagram and next minute, here you are.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, and it's something that's pretty cool and available to people now is to be able to have social media, YouTube, all these different streams, to be able to decide you want to do something, whatever sort of industry it's in, whether it's lawn care or beauty or car modifications, whatever you're into, and start a YouTube channel, get on Instagram, whatever it may be. I think you put the hard work in, and if people appreciate it enough, and enough people hit follow and watch your stuff, and it's a genuine potential to get people watching what you want to watch. Because, like you were sort of saying, there's so much choice. I easily watch more YouTube than I watch free to air TV. Like I probably watch the sport and weather, but most of the time I'm watching Bluey or Peter Rabbit or something when that's on anyway. So I've got to watch it in 7+ later on. I've got to see what the weather was. But I don't know. There's so much choice, and so that's the thing. There's a lot of people out there doing it as well. So even in the lawn care space on Instagram, there's tons of people with accounts and things like that, which is awesome. I think if you searched how many lawn accounts are around, probably pre-pandemic, would have been far, 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 far less than there is now. And lots of information out there, lots of people giving it a go, which is awesome.
Do you feel like it's almost oversaturated now? Like there's too many lawn accounts?
No, I don't think so. Like if anyone wants to start an account, and it's, I guess the people will go to and find the accounts they like, and they'll follow the accounts they want to follow, and they'll unfollow those that they don't. And it's an ever-changing thing. And, we talk about my follower growth, but I've, on average, I lose about 25 to 30 followers a day, something like that. So, what's that in a week? About 200 unfollows per week, so it's a large volume of people that are hitting unfollow on my stuff as well, because they've had enough of my face. They're sick of my voice. I said something they don't like. Who knows what it is? And they'll pick up with another lawn account, or maybe they're sick of lawn care and they don't, it's not something they enjoy anymore. So they're going through and deleting all that crap because I'm sick of this and I'm going to focus on something else now. And that's just the nature of social media, the world how it is today. So I think it's great. There's more people doing it, more exposure, more, and I think something that's awesome too in that lawn care Instagram space. This is something I wanted to touch on when I was on the podcast the first time, but I sort of forgot and didn't get to slip it in. But the support of that network of lawn care accounts. Like for me to be where I'm at today, I've got a lot to thank for those people, because especially to start out, if you start an Instagram tomorrow for anything, you're really relying on friends and family to follow you and to start you off and to like your posts and to kick you off. But then there's something that, I was coming through in a group of, lots of accounts that had started at a similar time. And, you engage with their content, they comment on your stuff, you comment on theirs, and that's what it's all about. With Instagram, the more people that watch the whole video, they comment, they like it, it puts it into more people's news feeds, all those sorts of things, and it grows and it builds from there. So having that community, there was a long time there where I sort of had a rotation of videos where there was like, say, 10 or 15 accounts that I would tag in each video to be like, hey, I posted, and then others would do the same and still do the same to me now, where they tag me in a lot of their videos, which means I'll watch it. And, there's that community of people helping each other out, with like those things I said, liking, commenting, to help get it into other people's things and to have that growth continue. So that was definitely something that, especially early on, definitely helped me out a lot for sure, is that community and all those people that are there. So yeah.
Friends, I hope you're going well. I'm in the warehouse because I want to show you this. This is, amongst all the mess, the new background for the podcast for 2024. And maybe even slightly after Christmas, we might do a podcast with this. But I want to show you it because we're going to make some epic content for the next year. I've got a lot of plans, can't tell you about them now, but they're super exciting. And if you want to be part of that, jump on the Patreon, keep supporting it. Genuinely, all this stuff is being paid by the people who support on there. I want to show you this as well. This is my fertilizer rack with all the Mash Play products from the Lawn Shed. Now, you can only get these products, which are exactly the stuff I'm using. You can see it's in the rack there. If you get a trade account, so sign up to a trade account, jump on there, you'll be able to get access to that sort of stuff because it's not on the normal Lawn Shed account. Say you heard about us through the podcast and go through there. If you're looking for fertilizers, wetting agents, all that kind of stuff, that's where we grab everything. They've been awesome supporters of the podcast, and it's partly what allows us to do the cool things we're doing now. Let's get back into the podcast. Talking about that community. Recently, there was Mick from Turf and Surf, or Surf and Turf. I always get it mixed up. He got criticised, so did you as well, for having the audacity to even consider taking on a sponsorship. I'm probably overinflating what the comments were, but it's this interesting thing. And I think we talked about it last time. I talked about it with Mick last time, but it's a funny thing that happens on the internet because I actually talked about this directly with Cam on the last episode, is when I see someone who creates any kind of content on any platform get a sponsorship deal, and I think all the other creators do at the same time, they're like, fantastic, great job. Like, we understand that there's so much work that goes into this and there's so much effort. But then there's some people out there who are like, you're just doing it for the money or this or that, whatever. And they don't realize that this is kind of, well, for you, it is your job, right? This is how you get paid. But it's like a side hustle for most people. They have their full-time job and then they put in hours and hours and hours to make content, and we're entertaining people. And it's a really weird thing that you would follow somebody and then criticize them when they have success. It's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's, I've got a lot to talk about on this topic. I've definitely got a lot of thoughts and a lot of experiences and, things that have happened recently, especially. But yeah, I think it's a bit of people look at it and it's seen as, like, you go out and you do a job and people are like, yep, you've mowed that lawn, you've fertilized, you've done whatever, you deserve to be paid for that, no worries. But it's really looked upon in that social media space that people look at it who don't understand it and whatever else, and they're like, oh, I just want to see you do X, Y, Z. I don't want to see this sponsorship crap. And, they don't appreciate, the time and the effort that goes into it. when we were setting up before, I'm sitting on 998 Instagram posts, which is a lot. But call it 1,000. Some of my longer videos, especially if there's older footage in it, like the reel that I'm going to put up tonight, which is 4 or 5 days before this goes live, I think. I'm going to have some videos in there from a few months ago, as well as older footage. So going back, finding those, loading them, cutting it all up. Like some of those longer ones will, and by the time I've done that, uploaded it, put it into Instagram, put a caption, get the text over the top, that's going to take easily an hour just on my phone, not even considering the time, how much longer it took me to do the work because of moving tripods and all that sort of stuff. And so, some photos that I've posted, 3 minutes work, not much, but call it an average of say half an hour. So 1,000 posts at 30 minutes each on average. Have I got my maths right in saying that's 500 hours?
Yep. But I think it's not just your posting time, because you have to put in the work to have content that is worthwhile. And a lot of what you do as well is YouTube advice stuff, and you take some of the stuff from your YouTube and put it on your Instagram as well. So I'm assuming, it might have only taken you, like you said, half an hour on average to make that post, but you also did 6 hours of other stuff to even make it possible to make the post,
Yeah. I mean, let's just say I was going to do that work anyway. Like what I've done yesterday and today is a 15 mil cylinder cut. Ran across with my scarifier. Wish I had a verticutter, but anyway, ran across with my scarifier on a number 3 at a high setting, and then cylinder cut again. So I've mowed my lawn 3 times basically, and then sculpted my irrigation trenches and filled them in a little bit more, because the guy who filled them in, me, obviously didn't compact it down enough at the time, but so they've sunken down a bit. So anyway, all that work yesterday, about 6 hours, this morning another say hour, 7 hours, and which that amount of work, I was obviously emptying the catcher a lot and whatnot, but to do that without any tripods or cameras, maybe that's half the time, maybe it's 3 hours, so I guess coming back to that, like 500 hours, is that 12 weeks full-time work?
2,000 hours is a full year.
Yeah. So you take into account as well, for me personally, the thousands of messages I've responded to, thousands of people that have sent me photos of their lawn. They've asked for advice on different things or about products or whatever. And sometimes as well, if I don't know the answer, it's not just a quick message. It's, read an article, send them the article as well. Find something out about something. So contact someone else with, to say, hey, I remember something about this. Have you got that, to come back to that person? So much time that's gone into that, and they, people don't appreciate that. So now when they might see a sponsored post from me without considering that I've quite literally put in, hundreds of hours into all of my content and that sort of thing, to sit there and go, oh, this guy and his sponsored post, like, well, I've put in a lot of time. I've put in a lot of effort, and I've given a lot of free advice, and made a lot of stuff that's interesting for you to sit on the toilet and scroll through. So, if I now have got a sponsored post up there, getting some financial reward for all of this time and all this effort, I think that's pretty fair. Have I mentioned to you on the phone before about B Ghetto? He's a...
Oh, you might have. I know you have, I think, yeah. But tell the story.
Yeah, so he works at Brighton Grammar, and he does a lot of his content. He's got different sort of stuff. A lot of it is like that probably got him his big audience was day in the life of a private school groundsman stuff, and it would just be pitch preparation, footy season, doing different things. The whole ground got dug up, so interesting stuff. He's recently, last cricket season, he started wearing a GoPro in his head to record when he bats and everything, and so he's putting up YouTube videos with those, and something he started doing, I think it was sort of midwinter last year, so 6-ish months ago, he started doing the hunt for Victoria's best chicken parma. And every week he'd come in, we've got the parma chips and salad. He does the, the gravy thing and tries it all out. And he goes with 2 friends. And at the end of it, they all rank the parma. And, so for him, he's going out of his way on a Wednesday night or whatever to drive, sometimes driving a distance to get to a place. He's spending, say, $30 on the Palmer, $6 or $7 on a drink. Then he's driving home again, so it's cost him, say, $40. And say it was 6 months worth, what's 26 times 40, not including petrol. But he's gone out
$900,
$1,000, about that, 900, 1,000. So he's gone out and spent all that money, not to mention the time. So editing the video, there's 40 minutes in that. So he's taken 3 hours of his life. There you go. He's on the screen there. He's taken 3 hours of his life. He's spent, $30, maybe $35, $40. And then he got a sponsorship. This is probably in December sometime with HelloFresh. And HelloFresh sent him out I think it was HelloFresh, one of those. Sent him out a Palmer kit. So he made the Palmer at home, did his whole thing, Palmer review. And his bulk of his audience is on TikTok. And I saw this on TikTok. And it was all these comments about being a sellout and blah, 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 money hungry. And it's like, so you're happy to sit there once a week for this guy who's gone out of his way to spend 3 hours, his own time, his own money, plus his friends' time and money. They've also spent about $1,000 each, roughly, by that thing. And so when he goes out and he, it's relevant, it's not irrelevant to his content, it's a highly relevant sponsorship. Why are his followers, who are happy to sit there and watch, and have all that time and effort that he puts into his stuff, why can't they be like, hey man, like I saw it and I was like, mate, that's awesome. Like, good on you.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well deserved. Hope it was a fat check, and a delicious Palmer. So it's just, hopefully over time that perspective will change for people and they will start to understand what I've just been talking about for however long now, but to see that it's time, it's effort, it's money, it's time you could be spending doing something else, but you're putting effort into making that content. And if you get a bit of a reward from it, and especially if it's genuine, it's well done content, which is something I try to make a point of, about not standing there and be like, hello, this is the latest, this in the most monotone, like,
give me money.
It's what I'm doing around the house. It's relevant, to make it beneficial for people who see it. Because genuinely, at the end of the day, it's like, this thing that I'm doing, this thing that you can hire, or this thing that you can buy, like this, if you're doing this job, this is something that's good that I've used now, and this is something you can use, so.
Yeah, the relevant stuff, the relevant, brands and things like that, that's really important as well. But anyway, I just want to take a chance to talk about our sponsor, NordVPN. If you are looking for... No, that's a joke. That's not happening at all. But that's the kind of stuff that annoys me, where people are like, I'm going to... it does annoy me when someone's like, they've just taken the lowest hanging fruit, which is those VPNs or a few other of those services. But yeah, there are other ones like I know there's a few that you're affiliated with, that you're working with, that are literally lawn and garden stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that there's two sides of this as well, because people will go, what we just talked about with, like, okay, you're making money, but it is kind of a job, right? Social media takes work, and hey, a lot of people for a long time, they're doing all this work and they don't get anything. So to get something's fantastic. But the other side of it is the brands. So let's say the Lawn Shed, for example, who is our sponsor, or Hoselink, somebody who you work with quite a lot, if I'm correct. There as well, Nick. Yeah. Right. So you take a sponsor like that, reputable brands who don't rip people off. Why are they doing it? Well, they're obviously doing a sponsorship because they're making money. Why are they making money? Well, it's because they have good products. Do you know what I mean? Like,
actually, I saw something the other day.
Oh yeah,
it really jogged my memory here. So I was on Facebook, and I've scrolled past this post, and it was a fertilizer company who has pretty prominent marketing.
Yep.
And there was a comment on there, and it was along the lines of, I won't buy anything if it's promoted by an influencer or something like that, or I don't support or buy products from brands who
Yep.
use Instagram or whatever it was. And it was like, so you don't buy from brands that do marketing? You don't like marketing? You must go absolutely bananas when the ads come on when you're watching free-to-air TV. You must lose your mind. Like, what do you mean? Like, it is, if you are a brand, and that comes back to where we started when you were saying about not as many people watch free-to-air TV. There's probably people in the world, high level, talking movie stars, where it's probably better off that instead of putting an ad on Channel 10 or on free-to-air TV and paying XY, you could be better off paying that person for it to put it on their Instagram. That could be a genuinely better strategy, because I think what you get on free-to-air TV is a huge mixture of people who are just watching that show, whereas my audience, if someone comes to me and says, you're getting that target audience. If you come to me with a fertilizer, a mower, something lawn focused in that area, it's going out to that market and it's targeted marketing, So like, I just read this comment and it was so, it was very funny, because it's like, okay, you don't buy from brands that market. Well, imagine if a brand didn't market, they wouldn't be a very good brand. Exactly. And that's something I had a...
You go.
That's something I had when I put something up on Instagram, when Mick had that comment a few weeks ago, something about like, come on, Mick, your content used to be good. Don't become another Lawnsingoodnick. And it's like, mate, support him, get around him. But anyway, so I put something on my story about that, and I had some awesome responses. Like, great. It's great to see people out there who do understand it. One of them in particular was said, if I see someone do sponsored post whose content I enjoy, I'll make an effort to stop, let the whole video play. I'll like it, maybe a comment as well. Maybe send it to someone, because I want to support them, because I love the stuff that they do. So, even if it's a longer video and you just to support that person, you put your phone down on the bench and you walk away, and then you maybe let it loop a couple of times, come back and keep going on with your day, like, to support them. Another guy was like, I literally have things that I've bought that I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't have seen people using it on, on Instagram or whatever. It's like, it's what it is. I wouldn't have known to go to this place, or I wouldn't have known to look at this product if I hadn't have seen you using it or someone else using it. And so it's helpful. And I'm like, can you please give your attitude to everyone? That would be great.
Well, what I was about to say is, and as you were talking about that, it reminded me of a story. So HoseLink, now I'm not sponsored by HoseLink, so they're going to appreciate this. They've got this locking mechanism, right, for putting your hose on, which is unique, basically. I maybe a year ago, 6 months to a year ago, I had I've got a hose and a tap in this warehouse, and a different branded hose reel, and I had to run a different hose. I bought a cheap hose, basically, and a cheap fitting to the tap that's in here. And I came in one day, and Elliott's just come back. You can come in, Elliott. Came in one day, and this guy I came one day, and the warehouse had flooded because the tap was the fitting had blown off, and it was like a Monday morning, and I had no idea on the weekend when it had blown off, and it was just thousands of liters of water, I'm assuming, had been wasted. So I can totally imagine how somebody would be in a situation like that. Let's say they never heard about HoseLink, and they just keep buying all these rubbish fittings, and all of a sudden you do a brand deal with them. You're actually helping them. You're helping them out to sort something out, and it's actually something that's beneficial to the person. And maybe 90% of the audience don't need it right now, but there's that 1% of the audience that actually this is a really helpful message. And yeah, somebody will be like, "Oh, I'm never going to do an influencer thing, or I'm never going to do this, or whatever." Next minute, it's like, well, hold on a second. How many people have actually been supported, helped, all that sort of stuff by that type of content?
Yep. Do you know what? Like And we're back from a small break on the Australian Lawn and Garden podcast. But while you were just gone then, I'll carry on with what I was about to say, but I've just read 2 comments on this viral post. So the post is me. It's a caption over the top. Lawn dad's coming home from a holiday, and it's like jittery on the plane, pacing up and down, waiting for the suitcases, running out of the car when we get home, and then mowing the lawn. Just read a comment here, bro. This is just sad. Well, I don't know. I was pretty happy. I was happy to get home. And this other one, what a boring and uninteresting life. Jesus, and you post these things with a wow emoji.
Yeah.
Who are these people, Luke? Like,
So
just scroll.
encouraging.
Do people know that if they comment, it's going to keep bringing them back to my content as well?
I don't know, man.
It's interesting. And what I was going to say, following on, you've got it on the screen there. Yep. It was
because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, so what I was going to say there is like something with that whole idea of people, you know, being influenced, I guess. I hate that word, influencer. I will not, content creator. I'd like to call myself that. But
yeah.
It's something that I think about, and I'm like, it actually honestly makes me sick to think about if there was a way to know a dollar figure of how much money people have spent on different things, whether it's Ben Sims's fertilizers, Lawn Tips fertilizers, whether it's HoseLink gear, whether it's anything. I know of a guy who desperately wanted a certain whippersnipper for his birthday because that was the one that I used. Like all these different things, like, and so with that, for some people out there, no doubt in different areas of the world, they don't care. They'll promote whatever and get paid and move on. But for me, that's where I think you build that trust with your audience. I think I share a lot of mistakes. And I think that's something that people appreciate when I'll go, yeah, look, here's another mistake I've made. And I'll show something, whether it was related to building the deck, whether it was related to lawn care, something like that. And it's not something I'm trying to curate that thing. It's just how I am. It's just what's natural and the way that I want to be as a person, you know? So yeah, I think being genuine, you know, HoseLink, I've just waiting on them to send through my new contract for my next agreement with them. If they sent me stuff a year ago when I first started working with them and I set it up and it broke and it was crap and everything they sent me fell apart, it would have been, when that first contract ended, it would have been like, oh, you know, we'd love to keep working with you. Look, you know what? Yep. You know, so yeah. I think that's something where for people that are seeing this stuff, do you trust the person whose stuff you're watching? Do you feel like they've got integrity? Do you feel like you can trust what they're saying? It's even when I've hired stuff, I had stuff from Kennards, and it's so unfortunate. Like a company that, you know, has so many pieces of machinery and equipment across like 200 branches that they hire out, that DIYers use. It's not their own property. So, you know, naturally, you've talked before about employees and how maybe at times you've had employees who don't treat stuff like it's their own. And so, you know, things are going to happen. Things are going to break. Stuff's going to happen at times. But, you know, as a business, they deal with that really well. Even when I first called them, and then I called the marketing person who I was dealing with, and she's like, did you tell them who you are and what you're doing to try and maybe hurry them up kind of thing? And it was like, oh, no, not really.
It feels awkward though, doesn't it? Be like, you know who I am.
Yeah, but
you know who I am.
It's just like, oh yeah, I'm the guy you dropped it off this morning, you know. So, and they came out and they fixed it, and it was like, it wouldn't have been an option to me to hide the fact that something happened. It was, you know, I was never going to be like, this was perfect and everything happened fine. It was like, look, this machine, it did a great job. Unfortunately, this happened, but Kennards came out, and it's an opportunity to show, you know, for that brand in particular, how well they dealt with and they fixed the issue. And that's, you know, stock standard for their service. So it's an opportunity to say, look, if something does ever go wrong, unfortunately, like it has today, you know, and so that's where, yeah, I guess it's just your own integrity and who you follow and who you trust. And, you know, that's going to be different for different people. Yeah.
Well, even just then, Elliot came in. You guys would have heard that because his mower had an issue, and
his mower.
Yeah, his mower.
Yeah.
my mower that he uses, technically speaking.
Show and tell.
No, the Honda HRU216, I believe the air filter is completely clogged. And I checked the box that says Honda on it with all the spare parts. We didn't have an air filter, so you just take one off one of the spare mowers. And there you go. Go use that and run off with it. And, he's not an idiot. He was trying to fix some other stuff on it and see what it was. But look, anyways, the problems happen, But what's worse than problems happening is when somebody who's supposed to be your friend comments negatively about sponsored content, having no idea that it was sponsored content, specifically about a Bluebird aerator, which I might have accidentally done. There's a few conversations I've accidentally almost really screwed up on with between the two of us lately.
Look, and that's a whole that's a whole conversation itself, isn't it? Like those Bluebirds, and people love to hate them, and are other aerators out there better aerators? Are Bluebirds the best on the market? I don't think anyone is really suggesting that. I've only used one other. What was the other one I used? And I can't really remember a comparison, having used them a year apart or whatever. But it's one of those things. Like Kennard's branches have them; they're readily available. Can you get other aerators? Yes. Can you buy a manual one? Maybe do that. But it's like,
oh my goodness, no.
Is
I'd
this?
take
even,
the Bluebird over a manual.
But even if I'm using a Bluebird and I'm saying, hey, look, this is an aerator you can use. People, that's get one of these ones instead. I thought, well, actually, instead of me recommending to people, they go out and spend, what are they, $3-4 grand? Those Billy Goat.
Oh, mate, the Billy Goats.
Yeah,
Billy Goat plugger is $8,000 now.
Rightio. So I'll recommend to people, like, go out for your residential lawn, go get a Ryobi Scarifier. $350, whatever.
How dare you?
You're going to make your money back on hiring very quickly. Go and buy an aerator? I don't think so. But hire one of those Bluebirds. Does it pull cores out of the ground? Yes. Is that the desired result? Yes. Are there machines out there who might do a better job? Yes. Are they readily available? Not so much. So, and that's where it's like, it's trying for people to actually step back and see the whole picture is important, I think, when you see things like that too.
Well, I think so I've actually put, before any of this, even before I had the podcast, I wrote an article which is called 3 horrible aerator tools you can get from Bunnings and 3 great alternatives. And the Bluebird is, if you type in aeration Bunnings, the article probably comes up. I'm going to put this on the screen because it's one of my best articles I've ever done.
Yeah, you got the sandals, you got those rake things that roll out. Yeah, 4th one along there, Saxon Lawn Aerator Spike. Something.
Yeah, so Silverstone Guarding, 3 worst aeration products, 3 alternatives. And we talk about hiring aerators and the Bluebird, and these. I'm thinking about making a YouTube video on this and getting my mates who have like tractor aerators and pro cores and everything, and just going on the school oval and buying the Saxon Lawn spiked roller and the aerator sandals, and then taking a Bluebird and then taking a plugger and all that sort of stuff.
Can you please?
But there you go.
Can I see the video of you mowing a lawn in those aeration sandals? That'd be great.
Well, if I buy them, I mean, people are going to have to jump on my Patreon. There we go. Well, you are on my Patreon, so you're already helping. But I'm going to spend all this money on. But yes, look. Before any of this, I can show you when this article was written, June the 9th, 2022. So what is that? A year and a half ago. And I'm someone who's got epileptic fits is probably not enjoying me scrolling so much. But yes, 2, hiring a Bluebird corer, and I wrote that, and I said. I would have said in there, they can be hard to turn and tiring on larger lawns, still miles better than a manual option, and as the drum cell mechanism does not leave as clean a hole as a cam-driven machine, blah, blah, blah. Right, but you can't, I wrote that targeted to this market because you can't really hire the pluggers. There are some now, you know. Anyways, what I'm saying is
target markets are important as well. Sorry, I'll let you finish, but yeah,
yes.
target markets are important too.
But I think genuinely speaking, it is an option. It's just that it's hard work, you know. And to be fair, you do get, it depends on the soil type, but you do get much deeper cores from any cam driven style where it's not just the weight of the machine, but it's the weight of the machine and the power of the cam driving the aerator into the soil.
Yep.
So, but it's if you're a home lawny and you can go and get one for half a day hire for $80 or whatever they are, it's so much better than manual, you know, unless you have really small area and it's just, you know, the amount of time it takes you to go and pick it up and bring it back and, you know, get it off the trailer. Just, you could have already aerated it manually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is horses for courses. I just felt, I didn't realize that was a sponsored content post. I was just like, oh, those, I can't remember what I said, but it was something around the lines of like, oh, those things are hard to use, or I wasn't trying to crap all over it.
So you rated it an 8 out of 10 in your article a year and a half ago, and then jump on my post.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. Yeah, I think 8 out of 10 for, I should say, for the home lawn. But I've said cam driven is 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 is how I've rated that. But if you were to then go to say, let's say a tractor would do way better aeration. So I guess, yeah, I probably need to be specific that is for home lawn. For a home lawn, you're not going to get better than a plugger, or if you could get a Pro Core in. But yeah, they're so fat and wide and cost $40,000 or something stupid. So,
yeah, and that's sort of something as well. We talk about target markets. It's like, and you know, on my post this morning, Brad Lawn Addict, he commented about, you know, getting a verticutter and blah blah blah, and it's like, I'd love a groomer verticutter, you know, style machine, but I also, you know, in the sense of my target market, my average follower is 25 to 40. Just bought their first house or have their house, want to make it nicer for their kids to play on, you know, whatever that may be. That's the average people who are like, I want to do some stuff to make my backyard nicer to spend time on, and I want to have a nicer front yard to pull up to when I get home, you know? And so, you know, for me, I almost want to, with my, you know, sort of, rather than using a MoMaster Verdi, you know, / grooming type machine every 3 or 4 weeks, and, you know, I'm pretty happy to just chuck that Scarifier, which is doing a similar job. It's not the same. Nobody out there, please, think that I'm trying to say that these machines are the same or they do the same job. But, you know, it's a similar sort of goal. And, you know, lots of people out there who can relate to that, rather than having this thousands of dollar machine, you know. And so for me to be able to show that ongoing, it's like, it's a bit more relatable, you know, going down, putting the aerator on a trailer, you know, maybe eventually I could buy my own with enough sponsorships. but you know, to be able to use canards, to plug them, to be able to show, hey, you know, and for others to be able to use them, and to, you know, stay relatable in many ways, rather than having the goal of ending up with, you know, this MoMaster Verdi, MoMaster cylinder, Billy Goat aerator, and an Eco 250 in my shed. Like, that's just ridiculous, you know. And
I don't even have an Eco 250.
And I don't have space or money for that. But it's like, you know, how unrelatable am I then?
Yeah, you're right. But that's what I can hire an Eco 250 down in the same suburb as me, which is a rare thing to be able to hire. So it's great that there's one in the same suburb. But they're, I don't know, 17 grand more
I thought
now.
they were around 10, but yeah.
Oh, they used to be, you know, back in the day before the world went crazy and inflation went through the roof. No, they used to be about 12. There's a lot of things that I regret. You know, your wife's in finance. I should have 2019, 2020. I should have just bought everything I wanted on finance
Yeah.
because it would be paid off by now. And the increase in inflation for so many things is more than the interest was back in the day. So like I got a truck that I bought for $47,000, right, on finance, put down a deposit, blah, blah. I think it's worth secondhand as it is right now. Well, actually not as it is right now because Elliot crashed it. It's currently being repaired. But when it gets repaired, it's probably worth $50,000. It's worth more after having had it for years than because the brand new they're 54, 55, and you just can't get them that readily. So someone would pay 50, 51 for it. But things like that. But yeah, the top dressers and stuff. But back to space, and even for us, because we don't do that much top dressing over the course of a year, we couldn't make money off an Eco 250 unless we deliberately started targeting more of that work. And so, I mean, Ben Sims he was given his, and he's got a putting green. How many times does he use that in a year? He used it a lot to begin with, but it's kind of not so much now.
I'd say you'll get use out of it over time with the fairways and all that sort of thing. But it's definitely a very luxurious thing to have as a homeowner for sure. But yeah, I mean that's something you've talked a lot about in other podcasts is about is something going to make you back money and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean even for me to be able to because Kennards have got an eco that you can hire. So even for me to be able to show that you can hire this and it hired a little mini loader with it as well to load it up for me, and tell you what, my body felt a lot better using those two bits of kit rather than doing it by hand with the boys from Lawn Lads January last year. That was definitely a lot better than that. But
I want to show you a machine that is not in Australia, because this is I've talked to these guys on Instagram, and I've been wanting to get one, and I had a chat about getting it. Let me click on this.
Is it Master Top Dresser?
No, it's called Earth and Turf. Put it on the screen here. Have you seen these on the internet, on the interwebs? So these are incredibly expensive. Now, don't quote me on this, people, but this one here is what I looked at, which is a multi-spread 100 SP. Now, instead of broadcasting, so throwing to the side, it's a drop spreader. So it uses a big brush on the front for those who are watching, and it drops it in a narrow line, which is better for two reasons for what I do. Because one, we have so many small areas like your front patch where it's like awkward shapes and the Eco 250 throws it too wide. But we love top dressing with organic matter, and the brush sort of crushes the organic stuff and spreads it evenly if you get it clumping, with compost and things like that. And so I was like, guys, you got to bring it to Australia. And they're like, we're trying, but it is still around $1. And then they've got these stand-on ones. Oh, there's a video. I should just play the video. But, what have I done? Bloody volume is through the roof in my ears. Could you hear that?
Nah.
No, you can. Did you see that go full screen, or did I just black out when I press full screen?
I don't know. You're scrolling very quickly. It's hard to keep up.
It's very small.
I'll just wait patiently while you just
chat about things.
Scrolling. Do some shopping.
Yeah,
but, I mean, like the whole work smarter, not harder sort of thing, isn't it? And so that's what's important to try and help people see and view in the business for sure.
Well, I just want to show you because it's cool. It's a cool toy. I mean, I'm obviously not sponsored by them or anything. It's just, there's just cool little things out there. It's not even showing it bloody spreading anything. There we go. Anyway, so it drops it down like that. I feel like that was, after all that effort, that was a bit underwhelming.
Especially for the listeners
exactly. Only. Everyone's like, what are they talking about? Oh, mate, I'm in my own little world here. But yeah, anyways, you could spend $1 billion on lawn care products and tools and things like that and just keep going down that rabbit path. But like you were saying before, it's just not relevant to the people that you're actually trying to reach.
And that's something I've been trying to do this season a lot as well is, trying to show people doing things simply. I've got this little patch next to my pool, which anyone who follows me will probably know about, but there's probably, a little spot there where I'm just rotary mowing it once a week. And I've got lawn programs. And so I'm maintaining that space on my low input program. So I've got low, medium, and high level of input. And the low input program is basically an average of one application of something per month for the year, whereas the high input one is 2, with liquid fertilizers and more inputs. So even just doing things like that, where I didn't do a full renovation on it, I just did a scalp. I didn't top dress because that $100 a cube, per 100 square meters, $100 plus your delivery, which is insane over here. I don't know about over there, but delivery costs are massive.
So what would it cost to get those delivered?
$60-$70.
Yeah,
depending how far. Yeah, there was some places I was hearing of where it was the more that you ordered, the more diesel tax kind of thing they put on top, and I was like, doesn't that make sense that the more you buy, the more worthwhile it is to drive there? It should actually work in reverse, I thought. But anyway, so just doing things like that and showing people simple methods, like that program, the cost per 100 square meters per year for the products is like $80. So obviously your initial outlay for so granular fertilizer, wetting agent, pre-emergent, insecticide, what's number 5? Can't remember.
Pepsi Max?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. For those 4 or 5 things is $300-$400, whatever it may be. Well, obviously a lot of those things are going to last you a long time. A 20 kilo bag on 100 square meters is going to last you 4 years for $80, $70-$80. So that's pretty solid. So anyway, so doing things like that, having that low input program available, doing some rotary mowing stuff on that little patch to show people this is how I'm maintaining it. I think it's been really neglected recently. So, I was cutting it with that battery Ryobi mower that's getting all the hate on that viral post at the moment at like 40 or 45 mil. It's an incredibly bumpy, terrible patch by my normal standard, but to show it, getting cut once a week, hey guys, this is what you can do. You can spread some fertilizer this often, do these things, basic. It's a nice looking piece of grass. People look at it and go, that's a piece of grass that if it was mine, I would, be happy with that. And so, that's kind of that diversification that I'm trying to do as well. And working on that buffalo lawn, my friend's buffalo lawn, that's been enjoyable. So, I think that's something to acknowledge is that even when it comes to cylinder mowers and that sort of thing, like I actually would love to try and find a setting to use one of those little Ozito battery cylinders, because they're like $100, $150, and I've had people that are given really great feedback on those. So things like that, to have a patch of lawn and be like, hey, I'm using this little Ozito on here, I'm on my back lawn using a pretty top of the range Mowmaster, but
I was going to say Ryobi.
I'm doing it. The Ryobi battery, but this is what's possible, and just to not become, because even like, I don't know, I've got a lot of cooking stuff in my feed, and sometimes when they're making these elaborate extreme dishes, they're mixing this and they're doing that, and all these ingredients that I just don't have in my pantry. It's cool to watch, and it's like, that looks like it'd be amazing, but I'm just never going to cook that. I'm just never ever going to cook it. Whereas if it's something that's like achievable, bit of some chicken, some spices, whatever's in it, I'm like, I could make that. Actually, the anniversary dinner I cooked for Kate the other night, I got from Christian Petrarca. He made that sort of pasta, and I saw it, and I was like, I'm going to do that. So it can work in lots of different ways. But yeah, I mean, it's just being able to show people what's possible with basic equipment as well. Obviously, I always want to maintain, especially my back lawn, and be thinning it out, cutting with a cylinder, amazing stripes on it. And for a lot of people, when I'm making these amazing patterns and, got it looking really nice, it's just like satisfying. That's not really that attainable because they've got bills, they've got kids who need stuff. But maybe that content that I put up there of like, hey, here's this patch of grass that I mow once a week and do basic stuff to it. This is achievable for you in your situation. I think that's the sort of stuff, and that's the target market, and that's the stuff that is really enjoyable. And I guess more so like rewarding. Is it too cringy to say that? But like kind of rewarding and cool to be able to like, be like, this is what you can do, and get people out there and not make it an unattainable hobby or goal to have that nice patch of grass to spend with time on with your kids.
Yeah. It's definitely more relatable, and so then you feel like it's more meaningful. But talking about spending time with your family, we touched on this earlier before, and that's how I started the podcast. Lawnsingoodnick's wife's husband, which is you, because you're Lawnsingoodnick, but your wife Kate just started a brand new Instagram channel called Lawnsingoodnick. Lawns in Good Nick's wife, and I love it, but I'm also kind of jealous because she's already got more followers than me. I think she's like 4 days in, and she's got. Last night when I was checking, she had 1,600. I had 1,400 followers. Not that I'm trying to, build a massive Instagram account for the podcast. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I'm just not chasing necessarily certain numbers. But the content it's real funny. But is it kind of like for you because it's kind of like a bit of a piss take? Not really at you, but at lawn culture, which you're kind of, that is you. I don't know. How do you feel about it? You must be like torn that it's like funny, but it's kind of jokes at your expense. I don't know. Am I making this up?
I think it's like, it's good fun. It's good fun. And like, even like her first one was like, being my husband or something. And it was like, she goes into the toilet, closes the door, and then the caption says 45 minutes later. And then she walks out again. Like, yeah, like it's just, designed to be funny. And she's got plenty of ideas of different things that she's going to do. And it should be a good bit of fun. Overall, I think what will shine through is that she is actually really incredibly supportive of what I do. No matter what that is, whether it's playing footy or, being able to, get up early and go to the gym, and she'll deal with the kids until I get home, and, sacrifice her sleep as well when they wake up early, like little things that, all couples, all, happy cooperative couples have got to do and do themselves. But yeah, she's very supportive of anything that I want to do and stuff. And I think that'll shine through that. Ultimately, it's like, it's poking fun, and it should be pretty funny, but yeah, it's, I don't know. I think she's got lots of ideas written out in her notes of little things that she can take the piss out of related to lawn care and myself. And I think she'll develop a pretty funny little niche there of the wives and whatnot, or even the husbands of the lawn mums, and develop a little bit of fun there. Who knows? It might die off after a month, but she'll have had her fun. And she's got like she's gotten a lot of followers quickly because, well, I think for a start, her first like 3 or 4 videos have been pretty funny. Maybe I'm biased, but she's got on her own Instagram is Craving a Saving, and she's got 13,000 followers or something there. And, obviously me sharing it on my story and stuff there, I've got an audience to share it with. So she's got a bit of a head start on you, Lukey boy. I wouldn't get too upset, mate.
I'm devastated. Oh, my life has lost all of its meaning and significance now.
For those listening only, Luke's just started a tear has just rolled down his cheek. But
all the tears.
Okay, mate.
There's no more tears left to cry. I was crying all last night. Nah, I hope it isn't a flash in the pan thing. I hope she keeps doing it because I think it's relatable. Certainly, my wife was like, "Oh yeah, this is good relatable content," because it is funny. It's kind of like she's being the wife. She's being herself by being a lawn lover's wife. But there's so many other lawn lovers' wives who feel the same way. You know, her one watching Tim the Lawnmower Man, and just being silly. And if people go check it out. She's gonna get more of my followers now. What am I doing? I'm promoting my own enemy. Not that she's not really
there's plenty of follows to be spread around, I'm sure. But no, she's gonna have some fun with it. So yeah,
I think
all at my expense.
One of the fun things about what you're doing is the family side of it, because do you call yourself a stay-at-home dad? Is that part of your vernacular vocabulary, or is there a better term?
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I guess you sort of mentioned it earlier that it's a bit of a job for me, my social media stuff, and it's like enjoyable. You know, I've got streams of income that come in through YouTube. And yeah, sponsorships and other bits and pieces. So yeah, a lot of time goes into my social media, and it's I guess a bit of a part-time job. But you know, even when I sat down to get my hair cut the other day, and the guy said, "Oh, you know, how long you got back till you go back to work or something?" And it was like, "Oh, I actually don't work." You know, sort of, you know, and it's awkward to say. I don't want to say, "Oh, I actually you know, do social media," which comes back to, yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, like I wouldn't like broadly sit down and be like, "Oh, I'm actually a content creator, and I do, you know, online stuff." And so, you know, like I kind of, just renovate the house and look after the kids and take them to swimming and, you know, spend time with them. And my wife owns a finance company, and so, you know, she brings in the big bucks, and you know, I can relax at home. But yeah, like, I guess I would say it's a bit of a part-time job. What I do, it's, you know, but yeah, overall, it's just like, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I don't work. Is sort of what's easiest to say.
But it's a very special thing to be able to spend time with the kids, even though kids are not the easiest thing at all times, for sure. Especially, like, there's some people as well, their personality types. It's, we were talking about this before. My wife sent me a reel. Our son and our daughter, which, you know, you would expect that you know, a boy and a girl would be different in their temperament and how they respond to things. But it's been interesting parenting them both, because some of the things that would have worked on one, or I guess the ways to communicate that would have been well received by our daughter, it's just different with Frankie. And so she sent a little reel about how, some parents are like talking about how their kid is communicating and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, our kid's communicating too. It's just through screaming, you know? And he's not a screamer in the sense of like a tantrum thrower. He's just such a loud kid. And it's like, how many decibels can you pack into such a small size container? You know what I mean? But it's just it's cool and it's special, and it's a rare thing for a dad to be there for those kinds of things and to be involved with that and to be a part of that. And so it's a cool thing. It's I don't know, is that how you feel about it? Or are you sick of your children? Sick of your children right now?
Well, you'll get some people in comment sections who say what I'm doing is stupid. Go look after your kids or something like that. That's always nice. But it's honestly, I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am. And, you know, there was sort of a few circumstances with my previous job, you know, that led to conversations with Kate and I, April 2022, coming up to 2 years. And so essentially we had pretty much 98% decided that I was going to go stay-at-home dad starting 2023. So it was a long year in the departure lounge of being in a job. If you've ever been in the departure lounge of a job where you know you're going to quit or you've got to get through to the end of your contract or something, it's it's a rubbish spot to be motivation-wise. But yeah, got through to the end and started. I think one of my biggest things is like, how far do I want to go into it? But like sometimes I feel like my life is too lucky, like it's too great that I do get to be able to spend that time with my kids. Like little kids, as you touched on, are tough, but it's just like the times that you can have with small kids and what they give you, you know, they're not turning around yet. They think you're funny. They're not turning around yet, being like, Dad, that's lame. Or like, you know, whatever. Don't walk me into school now, Dad. I don't want people to see, you know, that you're here. Or, you know, when they're older. And, you know, I was chatting to someone else about this recently. I think the sleepless nights when they're safe in their cot or in their bed now might seem hard at times, but when there's sleepless nights and they're out and you don't know whether they've had 5 or 15 beers or goon sacks and they're out somewhere being idiots, like I feel like that's probably going to be worse as a parent. So yeah, trying to soak up and enjoy the times when they are little, and to be able to spend so much more time with them, not have them in childcare full time. So we still have them in kinder and childcare now because we wouldn't want to take that social interaction and development and playing with their friends away from them. So they've got that balance. And I think I couldn't do full-time stay-at-home dad every single day of the week. I'm not cut out for that personally. And I've always said that. And even now as a stay-at-home dad, for the amount of time that I am, I couldn't do it. So yeah, to have that balance is like, all right, we bought this house, needs renovating. You know, I've saved us already thousands and thousands of dollars on building our outdoor entertaining area, painting the whole house, all these things. So it kind of, you know, justifies itself in that, as well as the social media that I'm doing, which is not applicable to lots of other people out there, but it's a fortunate position to be in. And yeah, this is Ollie's last year at home. He starts prep.
He's leaving. So he's got university next year.
Yeah,
he's out.
You're in prep now. Get a job.
That's it.
Move out.
We're workers in this family,
so...
not bludgers who just take stuff. How old are you now? 3? Out.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, Hudson's still got 3 more years at home, but I don't know. Actually, it's something I did because I want to be able to mark these times and have things to come back to. So something I decided to start doing was every kind of like 2 or 3 times a year, so not super frequently, but just sit down, talk to a camera, and just talk about the boys, and then save them in a Dropbox folder, and watch it when they're 25 or 30 or 40. Who knows if I'm still alive. But I got to the end of Ollie's one. Sorry, Hudson. He was a bit more difficult at the time. But I got to the end of Ollie's one, and it's just like he's such a beautiful, great kid. And I was crying at the end of it. Like I was just like, because I just had gotten to this point where I was saying, as part of what I had talked about and what sort of kid he is, and talking about things like this is life. Because to look back on 2023 and however long time, I'm sure will be maybe a little bit interesting, if not for just myself. But I was like crying because I'm just like, these years are just going to go, you know? So I think that's something as well, where the little bits of dad kind of content that I put up, you know, and I do see and I watch and I enjoy a lot of parenting related content as well. But yeah, to hopefully just soak that time up, create that nice lawn to spend that time on with your kids when they're little and running around and that really golden sort of age.
I wonder if people in the culture, you know, they kind of overrated career a bit and underrated family a bit as we were growing up. Like our sort of generation, the feeling that I got was like, oh, kids are difficult, kids are tough, you know, like, you know, almost like that was maybe it's just the people that I was around at a certain time, or certain groups of people that I spent time with. But I found kids, because there's some work which is soul destroying and there's some work which is life-giving. And I actually think the work that is life-giving and enjoyable, and even though it is challenging, so it's not easy enjoyable, but they're the moments you look back on, you go, yeah, they were the days. They were the good old days when, you know, we had these problems, but, you know, we did it and we pulled through. If your life was only ever easy, you don't have those moments. You don't build deep relationships with people who come alongside you in those difficult moments. And I feel like the kids stuff it's that second part of it where it is to a degree difficult, because that's everything in life is difficult. That's worthwhile. But it's so life-giving and so enjoyable, and there's so much value to it that isn't measurable on a spreadsheet. And I wonder if, maybe sometimes in our culture we got a little bit too focused on climbing the corporate ladder, doing the things that were, I guess, measurable on a spreadsheet, and sort of forgot about that. Because I feel like that the reason why I'm saying that is I'm sure from your perspective, you could make more money if you put your kids in daycare more and worked more hours and were separated from them more. But I'm not sure if that would that really be the life you'd want to live? Would that really be the most valuable? You know, you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that's something like people that I worked with previously where they would sort of, one of them was working 3 days a week and the other was working 2 days a week, or 4 and 1, or whatever it may be, because yes, they both could have done, between them, say 9 days a week. But they were both splitting it up. So one parent was home all the time, every day of the week, especially with younger kids, to be able to spend that time with them. Yes, they would have been much more financially better off to have had, that extra money. But, I can think of, especially 2 examples where it was like, that was super important to them. And so they made it happen, and one of them was always home. And I think it's a hard thing, is like depending when you have kids, through your late 20s, your early 30s, it's when you're trying to make money, you're trying to establish your career, you're trying to do those things. That's also when you have kids, so you are busy. But I think that's something for me, especially working full time, trying to have the hobbies that I have with lawn care and other stuff. It's like, if you're always so busy, it's hard to stop and take a moment and really enjoy a lot of times, and the time just goes probably. So it's like, even I put it on my Instagram story Monday morning, like we had a ton of rain. The lake up the road was overflowing. The water was all flowing through the car park and creating all these channels of water. And it was like, so when I went for a run in the morning, I took a video of it. I showed the boys when I got home. They were like, Ollie, especially the older one, can we go there? Can we go there? So after I ate breakfast and everything, got on our bikes, rode up there, and it was 25 minutes they were there playing. And after about 10 minutes, like, it was like a muggy sort of morning. It wasn't too cold, but the longer I stood there, I had an umbrella. I was kind of engaging with what they're doing, but, standing there with this umbrella, it starts getting a bit, the breeze starts coming through. I'm getting wet. I'm starting to get a bit cold. I'm like, geez, being at home with a nice hot coffee would be pretty nice at the moment. And it's that, sometimes it's like, do you know what? They're running around, they're outside, they're playing with the water, they're picking up rocks, they're making little dams in the stream of water, and like, they're having fun. I actually don't have anywhere to be specifically at this time, so I just let them play. And after 25 minutes, the older one was like, Dad, I'm ready to go home now. And so I said to Hudson, are you ready to go home, Hudson? He was like, yep. So off we went. We gave their bike seats a quick wipe, and we walked back home and got warm and dry. It's like, instead of after 5 minutes being like, all right, I've had enough, let's go. Come on, boys, it's time to go. Time to go home. Just finding those opportunities. And I actually did that last night. They got home. They wanted to ride their bikes out the front. After 10 minutes or something, it was like, all right, boys, come on, I've got to cook dinner. It's getting late. I've got to cook dinner. So it's not always practical to do that, to take that time to, just let them play for as long as they want or whatever. But when you can, and when it's possible, especially for me, a big one's my phone, because my phone, especially, at times when there's a post going viral or whatever, and it's literally my phone. If I wanted to just sit down from morning till dinner on my phone, replying to comments, messages, making like, I could. But it's like, that's the biggest trap for me, is so, putting my phone in the bedroom or putting it away somewhere, away to spend time with them, to engage with them, not be distracted. And find those moments where it's like, like I said, don't have to be anywhere, just play. Let's have fun. Let's just run around and soak that up. And I think that's something that a lot of people talk about, putting in that time when they're little makes them more likely to be 25 years old and ring you up and say, hey, Dad, what are you doing? How's life? And have a chat, or say, hey, you want to go play golf, or you want to hang out? Because to me, that's my ultimate goal in life, which has got nothing to do with the Australian Lawn and Garden podcast, more the Australian Lawn Dad podcast. But to me, if my kids ring me up in 25 years and they say, hey, Dad, how you going? You want to go play golf? You want to go to the footy this weekend? I'll be pretty happy with how my life's going, I reckon.
Well, the reason why it's so relevant to it, because gardening, if you have it as a hobby, it's communal. Communal? Is that the word? I think it is.
Communal?
Yeah, that's the word, communal. Where you're making food and people eat it, or you're making your lawn amazing and people play on it. You know, it's not like it's something that naturally draws people together. Food is the same thing, you know, like being cooking and having that as a hobby. Like it's not a hobby that you do on your own. And a lot of people, it's with their kids. They're doing it with their kids, and then you know. But the other thing is that a lot of people who get into gardening as an industry, they're not worried about the money. They're not doing it because that's where the finance is. They're doing it usually because of work-life balance. They want to start their own business to spend more time with the kids, and all this sort of stuff is so relevant to everybody who does that. You mentioned before that your ultimate goal is this kind of stuff. But one of the things I did want to ask you, I wrote down before, is what are your goals? It's the 10th of January right now. So everyone does, you know, not everybody, but most people do these New Year's thinking, what's your goals for 2024? Where am I heading? So what are your thoughts with that? What are your goals for this coming year? Is there anything that you're really hoping to achieve? Anything that you're like excited about, behind the scenes stuff that maybe you've been thinking of doing, that maybe this is the year you can get to do that? Or are you just doing what you want, taking it as it comes?
I've got a lot of things to get done that I want to get done around this house. So like that laundry renovation, like to me, the veggie garden was something like I can't wait to do the veggie garden. But you know, as last year rolled on, building the deck and the outdoor entertaining area, and then creating my lawn programs took me a long time. Painting the house, all these different things. It was like far out. Like I was like, yep, by the start of spring, I'm gonna have the veggie garden, you know, growing food all season. I was like, only just this morning, like I've done bits and pieces in there. I've pulled up a heap of bricks and stuff, and only just this morning, I was in there raking out some soil and trying to level out the ground a little bit and like really get it going soon. But I'm like time just goes, and there's so many things I want to get done. So I think there's certain projects that I definitely want to get done, like that veggie garden, the laundry renovation, that fire pit garden area. My goal, I want to do some like construct a nice fire pit and big garden and, you know, trees and stuff around that area. Want to probably lay some turf in there.
Really?
A different sort of lawn variety. Well, I think it's an opportunity around there. It's going to be probably an awkward, you know, little space. So I think to do turf laying, add that in, maybe with a different sort of lawn variety, and keep it rotary mode. Keep it rotary mode at 50 mil as like a little area near the pool, near that fire pit space where you can put out a rug and it's that longer, you know, sort
Like
of
a
grass
zoysia
there.
or something?
I don't know how zoysia go in my climate. Probably not.
So the one way
Yeah,
to
I don't
find
know.
out. No,
Yeah, that's it.
you're
Rip
right,
it
it's
in
probably
there.
too cold.
But yeah, I think there's certain times where I want to become really focused, and sometimes I have times where I have been busy all day, but I'm like, what did I achieve?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's hard about being so self-regulated on my days, where it's not
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, I've got to go here, I've got to go to this client. You know, for you, like your day's pretty, I've got to go here and I've got to do this. Whereas for me, I can sort of have a bit more freedom to be like, all right, I've got to do X, Y, Z today. What's a priority? What's, you know, and sometimes I can get a bit lost in doing things that are not getting me towards there. So I'm reading this book at the moment. First book I've read for a long time. And that's something I want to do more as well, is read a bit more. But it's talks about getting your main areas of focus. And when you do your to-do list in the morning or whatever, look at that and go, okay, where is this fitting into these sorts of things? So I'm looking forward to finishing this book and maybe having, because I am like a write things down to-do list process kind of guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. But so my 5 areas of focus for me is quality time with Kate and the kids. Number 2, health and fitness / footy. Renovating the house and other projects. So veggie garden, laundry, fire pit, feature walls. And then the other one is social media. So recording YouTube videos, liaising with brands and stuff like that. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes of that, with emails and, you know, phone calls and all that sort of stuff that people wouldn't realize. So they're my sort of real 4 main areas of focus. So it's like, all right, if I have got something that I've got to do or I think I need to do, but maybe I'll look at those things and I go, actually, is it really that important? is it actually something that I should spend an hour on today? Or would I feel a lot more accomplished and a lot better if I spent an hour on this thing? Or I might see that one area hasn't been getting as much love recently. So it's like, all right, maybe it's quality time with Kate and kids. So I might focus on Kate and that and say, try and get a babysitter for Saturday night so we can go out for dinner and spend time together. Yep. Or even just plan something for once the kids are in bed one night, or maybe plan, all right, I'm going to plan for this Sunday for us to do a family day together doing X, Y, Z, because that area, I have, not as much has been happening in that space. So I guess to just keep being more efficient with my time. I think I have so much time to do things, which is, again, very fortunate. But, times where I might find myself frustrated at the end of the day or feeling like I haven't achieved anything is something that I was probably prone to, especially in the beginning of last year when I was trying to feel out this new life in many ways. But yeah, just to become more efficient, focus on the things that matter in that order, and to make sure they kind of get done. Is sort of what I'm focusing on. I don't know if that was a bit too broad of an answer, but
what's the book that you were reading called?
18 Minutes, I think it's called.
Yep, I've read that one.
So it sounds. You have read it?
Yeah, I have.
Don't spoil the ending.
It's actually 15 minutes and 59 seconds. No, 17 minutes and 59 seconds.
Is that something you do? Because you've obviously got a lot going on. You've got, a business to manage. You've got family. You've got all, maintaining the warehouse. Obviously, this podcast takes up a lot of your time. So in terms of you, I'll just flip the roles here. But do you have a system where you're like, all right, every day I wake up and I write down what I want to get done, or you use a diary a lot? What do you do?
Well, I've been like you, so in the sense that I haven't had structure other than the specific days that I might go out and work in the field. But yeah, it is much easier to be like, I have this lawn to mow, and you just go and do it, and you do your schedule because it's one of the things that separates businesses is often small margins, and those small margins come through lots of little things. But a lot of them will come from if you've got option between two things. Which one should I focus on? I've only got limited time. Should I do this or should I do that? And you might find that this small margin comes from focusing on another thing. So one of the things that's difficult for people, I'm setting this up for people who don't know what it's like running your own business or have not really tried to expand their business to something that's bigger, is there's a skill to making a decision as to what's best next, what's the best thing to do next, and how to actually think about those kinds of things. So like for me, and that book was helpful. I there's a few others as well that are really good at that just whole line of thinking. So it's a common thing, 80-20 principle, that kind of thinking. But for me, it's like I have 4 keep notes, Google Keep Notes. And there are some that have absolutely massive numbers of to-dos on there, like maybe 70, 90, 100 kind of things like that, where I'm like, whatever, any little idea comes into my head, I'm like, oh, that could be cool. I just write it down immediately. And I come up with a lot of ideas. That's kind of one of the things that my problem is like being able to execute all the ideas that I come up with. And then you kind of got to break it down into, the way I look at it is what is, and I don't do this perfectly in every sense, but like what are the actual priorities for my life in general? Like, as in categories. So for me, and, not to get preachy or anything on people, but for me, the number one thing is like my belief in God and my relationship there, and then wife and kids, and then work underneath that, and then hobbies underneath that. Now, I don't really have hobbies because I actually really enjoy the work that I do. Like this to me is a hobby. The podcast is a hobby. And so then you just I break my week down into what those categories and leave those pretty open. So it's like, this is family time here. And then so I don't break it down to like, for 15 minutes, we're going to hold each
Yeah.
other's hands and stare into each other's eyes, and then clock runs out. Okay, on to the next thing. But
And
like
actually, I've
making
scheduled us for 15 minutes of blocks, and we've only done 8. Sit back down.
exactly. What are you
Yeah.
doing? But like just being like, okay, Wednesday night is this, and this is this, and a lot of that is conversations about like what's good for you as an individual, because so certain things that I might do that were great for Carrie and I might not work for others. Like one of the things that we used to do for a season there, which is finished now, but there was a few months there where we was living with my mum to help her out for a season, which meant there was somebody at the house when the kids are in bed at night. And so we ran from like together, Carrie and I would run around a park just down the road from maybe 9:30 at night to maybe 10:30 at night, and walking and running, like whatever pace we could handle at that point in night. But we have this free block. Great for your relationship because we just talk and talk and talk and have that quality time, super rare, things like that. And just like finding, so that's the non-negotiable for the day, the relationship being the higher priority. Now it's real late at night because that's when the opportunity presented itself. But for me, like that's the non-negotiable. And then go back to those lists and go, okay, on that list, and I don't read 70 things every single time. I sort of categorize them. But what is the most important thing for me to achieve right now? So I've got my block of work. Number one thing for me to achieve is this. And so whether that's something that's natural to me or not, whether I enjoy it or not, if I think that's going to be the thing that's going to create the biggest difference in the business or whatever, that's what I'm going to do. And then, do the fun stuff around that, which is the podcasts or my interpretive dance routines that I choreograph in the warehouse when no one's looking. That's a joke.
But that's it. And you've got to be aware and keep, in a relationship as well, keep each other honest. Hey, look, we haven't done this for a while, or, a bit of time's been getting spent on this, like that communication's always helpful, and your own reflection. And I think that's good where that system, that same book, a couple of things you mentioned there is like, oh, I've read that in this book. So, things like, being able to just make sure focus goes in the right places. And because even for me personally, there was something that I've like, okay, I want to do this. There's a couple of changes I want to make to some of the timings and some of the schedules of my lawn programs.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them start from the start of spring. So it's like, I had in my mind, when we're on holiday down in Tassie, and it was like, oh, I want to do this and I want to get that out and I'm going to, redistribute that probably. But then I just sort of had this little brainwave where I was like, hang on a sec. That doesn't, like, that can be on a to-do list somewhere, but really I shouldn't be doing that, thinking about that until like August to send it back out to people then. Because if I put if I put 4 hours into that now, by the time you do all the back end work and whatever, that's actually 4 hours I could have spent on something else, especially in growing season with everything I want to achieve. So hang on a sec. Actually, I can take that off that to-do list. I won't forget about it, sort of thing. But that can wait. So just that prioritizing and then being able to put your energy in the right spaces for sure.
Well, this is one of these, but why I have 70 plus on multiple to-do lists is because I kind of order them. I'll do a look at them every now and then. I'll keep things on there, and then if they stand the test of time, everything sort of works its way to the top. Like I'll cut things and put it at the top that are important for me to do. And what you find is you read through the stuff at the bottom just is the stuff that's not that important anyway. But then sometimes I might read it 6 months later and go, that's still a good idea. It's just not super, super important. So I don't need to look at that. And I just leave them down there. And maybe I look at it another 6 months and go, okay, this is the time to do it. 1 year after I had that idea, things are freed up and I can do that now. But most people are not living a life like that where they're trying to, because what we're trying to do, not to talk too deeply about this kind of stuff because it's a lot of it's up in the air, but there's obviously the podcast, there's the business, there's the family stuff, like, just family time like everybody else has. But there's also like a software thing that we're trying to build in the background. And there's we're going to do a lot more content this year. So there's a huge amount of there's plans for YouTube videos and reels and things like that I haven't seen. the reason why I'm making it is because I don't see it, like really in-depth stuff. Well, I'll just say what it is. We're doing, I might have said this with Cam actually. I've got this whole list of articles called Everything You Need to Know About Blank. And they do really well as articles. So say Maria is one of them. Everything you need to know about Maria. And they're 2,000 to 3,000 words long. And it's just like, it's kind of a question answer format. So I've got a Maria that's got yellow leaves. How do I fix that? Well, it could be these 3 things. Try this, do this, blah, blah. And people will search up these things like kangaroo paws. Why are my kangaroo paws leaves turning black? Okay, well, here's what that is. Here's how you fix that, blah, blah. So there are lots of little short things. And I was like, I wish there was YouTube videos for that. So I'm just going to make those YouTube videos. So we're going to be doing that, making a lot of content with that. So there's a software thing we're working on. There's Silverstone gardening. I've said this on a Facebook group, but one of my goals for this year, because last year we shrunk down the business to rebuild a foundation and grow it again. It looks like was heading in the direction we want to. I would love to have Silverstone gardening hire at least, well, just one person to start with, but to expand to a different state in this year. And whether that's, the 31st of December or next week, it's not going to be next week. But, I'm not in a rush to achieve it, but that would be a nice little goal. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to do, a lot of hours of work are involved. I like it. I get excited by it. And I was waffling a bit there, so I kind of forgot what we were talking about to initially bring that up. Anyways,
there's a lot going on. You've got so much, you've got so much that you want to do, and I think all those things, all that stimulation and things that excite you, makes you, I have no doubt, a better dad, a better husband. Which is something I find for me as well. And I don't know, sometimes we've dipped in and out of bringing it up a couple of times, but like the negative comments that I get from people of, this is stupid, blah, 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 putting down what I do. It's like, I can only imagine that those people don't have that. Like these people mustn't have hobbies and things that make them happy and stimulation. Like I do not have time nor the personality type to begin with. I just don't have the time or the inclination to go and make a profile or use my own profile to scroll through people's stuff and say what they're doing is stupid or I don't agree with it or whatever, and I don't know. I think it takes a certain level of, I genuinely, I've said it before in stories and things like, I feel sorry for people who are like that. And I can only wish that more people have sort of got what we are fortunate enough to have, but I think we're both ambitious, busy people who don't sit around very much. I couldn't tell you the last time I sat down during the day and watched a TV show. I don't know about you.
Days of Our Lives is number one on my priority list. Right? I didn't say it before, but I wanted to. I was embarrassed, and so I didn't feel like to say it. But the real me has to come out, Yeah,
good show. But like everyone's different. Everyone needs, everyone's got different ways to relax and motivation. Like things that's all fine. I'm not saying you have to be go all the time, but I feel like it makes you, to have things that make you happy, excite you, you're keen to get out of bed for. Sometimes, there's different things, whether it's a project or something where I can't get to sleep at night because I'm so excited for it. Like I specifically remember before the demolition of our back area where we ended up building like a laundry and kind of a playroom thing that never got used at our old house. And the night before I was due to start ripping it all apart and start it, and I was going to spend my 2 weeks holidays doing it, I couldn't sleep, could not get to sleep because I was so excited, whereas, if I was maybe in a mentally bad place where I was like, nah, too hard, don't want to do it, I probably wouldn't ever have gotten done. I never would have started. I wouldn't have been excited and keen to make the house nicer and all those sorts of things. So yeah, I don't know, not trying to be a life coach or anything or brag or I don't know. It's just, I think if it's a good point to touch on with all of this is essentially what I'm doing and where I've gotten to with my Instagram following is doing what I enjoy, sharing it and enjoying it. And so whether that for other people listening to this right now is through making Instagram content, probably not for the majority, but it might just maybe jog some people's minds to think about what they do and how they spend their time and how they can, if they're in a position to change certain things, then maybe that's, something that can be thought of.
I think work is underrated. I think a lot of people, and I don't mean career, right? I mean, there's a type of work, we talked about this before with the kids, right? But there's like, you're talking about getting excited about a job, right? You're talking about excited about a project, something that for certain other people, it's about personality type and how you grew up and what you enjoy and don't enjoy. But there's certain people who would absolutely dread the things that you love and get excited by, and vice versa. And if you can find, from a business perspective, say you hate administration work, if you can find someone who loves it, right, and then you can do the thing that you love, and you keep doing that over time, especially small business owners who are listening to this. Say you love cutting grass, or you love, hedging or whatever it is, and you hate the admin side of it. Well, if you hire people who can do that, and you can start having a business where all you do is this type of stuff you love, or 80% of what you do is the type of stuff you love, and then 20% is, every job has things you have to do that you don't necessarily like so much. Well, work becomes really fun. And that's why it's like, I don't really have hobbies. I play guitar, and I hang out with my kids, and I hang out with my wife, and, I'll hang out with some friends every now and then. But I like what I do, and I don't get exhausted doing this, and, it's not uncommon for me to be working at midnight. And, like, no joke, we would go for this run, 9:30 to 10:30 or whatever it was. And I'd come back and I'd just do some stuff. And then 11:30 I'd go to bed. I because I enjoy it. And you were like, what would you prefer to do? Watch Netflix? I don't watch it. I don't even have Netflix. I'll put some cricket on or whatever. If it's on, I'll put the footy on. I'll watch sports highlights if I want to sit and rest, or some YouTubers that I like. But, really, I enjoy what I do. And I think that's the thing that I think people, I'm not talking about chasing a career. I'm not talking about necessarily trying to make a huge amount of money, but it's a different thing. When you find a role that you actually enjoy, that you actually like, you can do that a lot. It's not exhausting. It's not tiring. It's good fun. And I think that's where, you start getting somewhere, and you can, have nights where you're sleepless because you're so excited because of jobs you have tomorrow. It's a fascinating concept for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. And and that's, I was having this conversation with someone recently as well. And it's like that whole scenario, like, would you take 80 grand a year doing something you love, or would you take 200 grand a year doing something you absolutely hate that makes you miserable? Well, I'm taking the 80.
Yeah, I'm taking the
80. I'd rather be extremely happy and satisfied and have time with my kids and all those sorts of things, earning enough money to get by and maybe go on a holiday here and there and give my kids what they need. I'd take that over millions of dollars any day. And so, it's just, I hope, and I think that's something as well that you've probably touched on in other episodes, where I think gardening is something that's people have found a lot in the pandemic. Like, you hear stories about pilots who went and started picking fruit and things like that when they lost their jobs, and still do it because it's, they're outside and they enjoy it. And there's lots of people that took up probably gardening, and mowing became so much bigger, and all these sorts of things. And it's like, if you can sit outside, like my wife, I'm sure she'd be okay with me saying this, but she had a staff member who quit because she realized she loved health, fitness, that was her hobby and her passion. And she just realized, she's like, I don't want to work a desk job. I just don't want to sit down for 37 hours a week or whatever it is. And so she loved the job, loved the environment, loved Kate as a boss. Yeah. It was just like, this career, this just isn't for me. I want to be a personal trainer or a, coach of some sort in that variety. I want to be on my feet and helping people get active. No worries. Like, all the best. And hopefully more people can do that. And I think a lot of people do that these days as well, is change careers, change jobs. You've talked before as well about, taking on the clients that you want to take on. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do once my kids are at school and the house is fully renovated. Will social media take up all my time then? And probably not. But I've sort of thought, like, would I start a mowing business? And what would I want to do? I certainly, there's a contractor who pulls up across the road from me and smashes apart the weeds every 3 weeks or something like that, does the edges, and off he goes and comes back again in 3 weeks. There's people who are listening to this who do that. And some of them are probably happy with it. They don't care. They get paid. They roll up and they do it. And that's fine. And some people will be completely fine with that. Turn up, mow, leave, whatever. You've done it with your business of having packages and you want to work on nice lawns. Me personally, that's the same path I would go down. I would want to have someone employ me. I'd implement a program on their lawn, and I'd take it from looking crap. I'd make it look really nice, and I maintain and build nice lawns. And then maybe a bit, in that winter time, add some garden beds and stuff like that. Like almost like having my own house at someone else's house. That's a project that I'm building up and, doing some landscaping, planting some stuff, making the lawn look really good. That to me would be really satisfying as a job. Not as much turning up and just mowing 50 lawns a week and doing that. So, but yeah, I mean, Kate's had staff members before. She's like, I feel really bad. They're just doing data entry. And she says something and they turn around and go, oh, no, I really like it. I'm more than happy to just sit here and just enter stuff in. And Kate's like, all right, sure. I'm glad you do because I hate it.
It is funny. You get stuck in that mindset as an employer or a business person. You're like, oh, I don't want to hire somebody because this job sucks. So, well, maybe for 99% of people it sucks. But trust me, there is somebody out there who actually enjoys that kind of work. And to you, they're going to be really weird. But that's what makes it great. And that's what makes a team great. That's what makes people work together. They would hate to work on the lawn. They'd hate to work outside. The idea of being in the heat or in the rain, it's just, to them, foreign, not enjoyable. But, I've had a phone call with one of our admins and, yeah, they love what they do, and I wouldn't hate what they do because it's not horrible admin work, but the admin itself is not my strength. Emailing is not my strength. I don't like answering repetitive phone calls, but this guy's fantastic at it, and it's just it is. People are different, and you can find somebody who suits that, and on the vice versa, you can find a job if you're not in a job that you necessarily enjoy, like the fitness person you're giving an example for. You could find a job that might suit those strengths that you have a bit more. Yeah.
And that's something that I think, again, you've spoken about before, is about how people feel like potentially, all right, my job is to hire people and for me to get off the tools and for me to manage the team, and I'm the boss or the owner, so I have to, manage things. But if you're the best at what you do, well, then, like you said, hire someone to do that for you, the stuff that you suck at, because then your business is going to be more efficient. Maybe instead of doing full-time hours, it's, you're still doing 25, 30 hours, and there's certain things that you just have to do because only you can do it. And you still want to have that level of, control over your business at the end of the day. But yeah, like, mate, if you trapped me, in an office and said, sit there for 40 hours a week, I would go nuts. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, their apartment that they love living in the city. They love where they live, in an apartment, and for them it's perfect. It's just them two, and they're happy. And in lockdown, my brother-in-law, he's a massive gamer. He was stoked. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to see anyone, and I literally, all I can pretty much do is sit here and play my games. Awesome. And he was so happy with that.
Yeah, I'd hate that.
To me,
yeah.
Oh, if you said, here's this computer or this Xbox, play it and don't leave this small apartment, I would go absolutely insane.
What do you mean? I thought you already were.
3 days.
I thought you already lost your marbles, but yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I
exactly, clearly, and you're from Victoria. Clearly, you need to be from WA. Only redeeming feature is the MoMaster. No. I'm just having a laugh, but I'm with you with the the Xbox stuff, I don't mind playing with other people. I don't have one. I don't have a game console at all. And some people listening to this be like, "What? You don't like games?" I just feel like I don't. Here's the thing, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I don't like movies or TV shows, and I haven't. I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think I've watched a movie for 3 years. I think I've watched maybe 4 movies in the last 6 years. Like I saw Endgame when it came out. I've seen some of the newer Star Wars when they came out, and I that's about it. If you were like, would you like to watch a movie? I was like, I'd prefer to work. Like I prefer to do jobs that I don't like. I prefer to clean. Like if I had like the garage was messy or something, I'd be like, I'd prefer to put on a podcast and clean up the garage and get something done productive than sit and watch a movie. And some people, like the guy behind me in the next warehouse over, great guy, absolutely loves movies. And I had a chat with him yesterday. He came back from holidays. Hey, how's your holidays go? Oh, great. Caught up on all these movies and blah, blah. And sweet, man. Enjoy it. If that's what you like, enjoy it. I'm just weird and different like that.
Yeah. And that's like where I was come back to what I was saying before. Like if you're genuinely, a good day to you is getting up and doing a couple of bits and pieces around the house on the weekend or whatever, and then sitting down with some lunch and chucking a movie on for a couple of hours, and then going out and doing your grocery shopping in the afternoon, whatever, and you've sat down for a couple of hours, few hours in the middle of the day, unwind, relax, like that's fine. You don't have to be psychos like us who just have to be go, go, go all the time. But to me,
you need those different people.
That's what it comes back to at the end, isn't it? Everyone's different. And if everyone was the same, well, imagine if everyone wanted to be a business owner and no one wanted to be an employee.
Oh, mate, yeah.
A nightmare. So, and if everyone had the same skills and everything. So, yeah, it's just not enough people have enough awareness about that fact, I don't think.
Well, we used to be a teacher, right? A school teacher.
Yeah.
I was a PE. Yeah, that makes sense. I would have guessed that. We were Christmas stuff. I regret this now, big time. So I had 2 holidays booked that were both 3 days each, and one was in a place called Moore River, which is about an hour and a bit north of Perth, so quite close. And the other was 3 days in Esperance, which is 6.5, 7 hours from Perth. And I had certain things I wanted to do in between them. So I did a massive week heading up to Christmas. I did I think it was 90. It was in the 90s in terms of the number of hours. So the week before Christmas, and I was like, I get 3 days of doing nothing, 3 days in Moore River, 3 days back doing some work, and then 3 days in Esperance. So I'm like, this is a nice break for me. But I went to Moore River, and somebody there had COVID, and I got COVID. And so I was sick the whole time I was supposed to be resting, which is why I regret it. But anyway, so going into Christmas, and I didn't mind, but carrying you and everything, I basically didn't see anybody that week. It was like 7 a.m. start, 2 a.m. finish on some of those days, just long hours, so that I could be completely available doing nothing for those period of time I was supposed to be there. And anyways, we had a family Christmas thing, and somebody has become a teacher in the family. And I was like, oh, how's it going? I was like, it's pretty long days, like 7 till 5:30 sometimes, And Carrie's there, sitting there talking, and we didn't say a thing. But it's just like, yeah, man, if that's a long day for you, that's a long day. It's not I'm weird. I'm the weird one here.
Yes.
I'm not the normal one. And I would not recommend doing that for a long period of time. And in the end, I would have been better off not going to Moore River and getting COVID and just working, a more sustainable hours than doing 3 days more work after the Boxing Day break. But yeah, it's just people are different, and it's definitely not something that is. It's no formula where you're like everybody should do this many hours a week, and if not, you're underworking or you're overworking. It's just everyone's different.
Yeah, finding that balance, isn't it? And there's times where you got to push, and there's times where you've got to, built leading up to, just before I came on the podcast, really, I was hammer and tongs, not being the most like as much of an involved dad leading up to my 30th, trying to get that outdoor entertaining area built. It was like, all right, Hudson's asleep. Ollie, watch tally, mate. I've got to do X, Y, Z to get this space ready for this event, sort of thing. Which, you know, for a lot of people,
when was your 30th?
June.
Yeah, I was okay. Yeah, because I was like, did I miss something recently? Because you were leading up to the podcast, and I was like, was it yesterday? Anyways,
what? It's my birthday today. Are you 30 this year?
I just turned 30 a week ago.
Oh, happy birthday!
Thanks for remembering and giving me a birthday present. Gee whiz.
Where was my invite to your 30th?
Well, I mean, if you want to come to Esperance and be sick with everybody,
yes, please.
See, Esperance. You can still hear
Esperance has got an airport, doesn't it?
I think so, but it's a long drive, especially when you're yeah, it does have an airport. When you're so Elliot's. This is another story. So to tell you that Elliot crashed the truck, right? And Elliot's great, but the problem with Elliot is he only has an automatic license, and my ute that I usually drive is automatic. And I have an old Triton here that is manual, so I can drive it. No worries. Crash truck, well, we got spare cars. It's fine. But my Triton doesn't have consistent aircon. And so I drove to and from Esperance in a car that doesn't have cruise control with no aircon the whole time thinking, bloody, I'm only doing this because Elliot doesn't have a manual license. I'm just like, Elliot's in his 30s. It's like, mate, what are you doing with your life? It didn't matter in the end because the way down.
In that car as well?
Oh no, it's a single cab. No, Carrie drove. No, she drove down. So her family's from Esperance, so she's still there now, staying in the family house. Yeah. So she drove down in her car with the kids a few days before me, and I drove down like super late at night. So on the drive down, I didn't need the aircon because it was late at night. But on the drive up, I literally drove straight from Esperance to my cousin's wedding, and I kind of forgot how hot and sweaty I was. And I gave my auntie, whose son is being married, a hug, and my back was like someone had poured a bucket of water on my back. I was like, oh, whoops, sorry.
That's hot.
Anyways, how do we get onto this? I don't even know. Just talking about...
I don't know. Do you want to ask me anything else about anything else?
Does your aircon work in your car? I'll get jealous for you. It does. Well, this one works. It works intermittently. That's the thing. And the guy, I took it to a guy to try and fix it, and he couldn't work out what the problem was. And I needed the car the next day. So he was like, well, do you need the car the next day? I can work it out. And I was like, no, I need to get the job done. But anyways, this podcast is going off the rails, so we should wrap it up. Yeah, that's it. I did want to just have a little funny laugh with you that you spent all this time getting this irrigation done, and then you've had more rain than Noah got since you've had your sprinkler system installed.
It's insane. Like pre-holiday, like over Christmas, we had a ton of rain. And so I actually had to turn them on to water in fertilizer the day before we went away, which just hurt my soul. Then what do we had? We had 11 on Christmas Eve. We had 27 on Christmas Day, and then 4 on Boxing Day, and then just a little sprinkle on the 27th. So then on the 28th, pre-going away, I was like, well, I want to get this fertilizer out, you know. So I had to put it out, put the sprinklers on. I was like, this hurts. But in terms of actually watering the grass, since it was installed at the start of November, so yeah, it's just birth rainfall. Like we had from the 24th of November, we had like 12 days straight of rain. I think it was. Am I reading that right? We've had tons. Even in the last few days, Sunday, Monday, we had 49 and 36. Tuesday last week we had 28, and then two on the Wednesday. So it has been crazy rain. Barely needed to water the lawn. even though I'm not moving manual sprinklers anymore. It's at least if it does dry out now and we actually get, because that's the other thing, we've maybe had like, I'm probably going to be wrong, but it feels like we've had 5 or 6 days over 30 this season. One of them was in September.
Man, the weather is so different. It's so funny.
It's bizarre. So you've had, is that 2023?
Okay, so I talked about this.
The end of 2023?
I'll show you this in a second, but I'll just we talked about this extensively with Cam yesterday because he's in around the Geelong area. But have a look at those months there. So what have we got? We've got so let's go from September. So September is our average for September is 82. This is the one below here, and we've had 44. So basically half of our average. And then our average for October is 37. This is for the whole month. You're talking about you're getting this much in a day. We've had 8. Yep. We've had 5 in November, and the average is 22. We've had 0 in December, and the average is 10. And we've had 0 so far in January. Average is 19. And obviously we're not in February. So, like, essentially we've had from October, November, and December, we've had 13, and January, we've had 13 mil in 3.5 months. So, and then you talk about temperature, and you said 5 days over 30, and every day,
like that's probably wrong, but yeah.
Every day of the next week is over 30. So today's 30, and then we talked about it with Cam, but it was like 32, 33, and then on the weekend there was a 37 on a Saturday or something like that, and then. Yeah, it's such a different. It's so funny. I've been watching your videos, and I think I sent you a few things, and I'd just send you like a screenshot of the weather in Perth, and yours is like just bucketing down with rain, and it's like 37 degrees right now or something like that. So
yeah. So even like I think I'm due. I've got it written in this book. I've got right here actually, but yeah, like I'm due for wedding agent. I think, but it's like,
well, mate,
I'm just. Don't even. I actually need to write in my next lot of stuff. I put out some soil wetter. When did I do that? End of November. So I'm probably due, being about 6 weeks later. But not even going to bother for the next at least couple of weeks. Like there is that much. It's a heavy soil as well, so I obviously don't need wedding agent as much as you guys over there need it in my heavier soil. But yeah, it's like I'm not even going to bother. Like just. Play it by ear. If we happen to get another 20 mil next week again on top of what's happened recently, it's like, you know what? Like obviously you want to stay consistent on applications and whatnot, but in this case with the wedding agent, it's like I can just push it out.
I probably wouldn't. Yeah, exactly.
Don't need to waste the products. Like we're just getting so much rain. So I actually at the moment, like even when I was doing that work of cutting it nice and low. Something actually people might be excited to hear is me that I'm going to try and crank like a little 10 or a 12 mil early autumn. That's the plan. But yeah, I've cut at 15 mil, which at this current state, overgrown from a holiday and that sort of thing. I've been cutting around 25 mil because it comes back a bit to what we've talked about. My joy in lawn care is I'd prefer to cut 20, 25 mil and have more defined stripes at that slightly taller height than to crank it as low as possible. But I'm going to do another full renovation. I need another good top dress. And I'm going to try and do it. Well, I'm not going to try. I'm going to do, like a 10 or a 12 mil on the back lawn, which is going to be a bit of fun sort of late Feb. I'll probably do that. So, yeah, I'll see how I enjoy that for something different. But, yeah, even cutting the other day, it was like, a lot of yellow leaf, little spots here and there. And I'm just like, I did not think I'd be saying this, but mid-January, I'm like, if the rain could just please stop. No rain, please, for at least a few weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe just a couple of little sprinkles instead of these massive downpours we've been having to just let the lawn bounce back a bit and bake it and dry it out. That would be nice.
You need to share it. You need to share some around.
Yeah, take it, mate. At this stage, take it. If the goal is 25 mil a week when it's hot, then I've got plenty to share.
Yeah. Oh well, I think 25 mil a week it's about right if you're getting like good temperature like what you're getting, but what we're getting at the moment, like it's just we've had clients who are getting that and they're getting the wetting agent and the aeration and stuff, and the lawns aren't dying, but they are. You can tell it's like you need some water right now, and typically, that rainfall, we would have had something. Like I said, I was telling you about the averages and how below the averages we are, but anyway, that's life. Let's wrap this up, mate, because I think it was a good chat. Well, we click it over to 2 hours. Last time was 2.5, so we don't have to beat that record.
That was your longest one at the time now, but now you just pump out 2.5, 3 hours all the time, mate.
Oh, we've only done 1 3 hour.
Good chats.
Yeah, Ash from
Ashley James.
Yeah,
You're trying to think of his business name.
No, I remembered his real name, and his real name is different. His real name is Shirley Temple. Actually, no, it's not. He's I think his business James. I think is his middle name. I think his last name is something else. I was going to say it and I couldn't remember. But there you go. Anyway, so yeah, his business profile is something different. Anyway, but that was 3 hours. So we're starting to lose this now. We're starting to become unprofessional, rambling on. Let's cut this off right now.
I hope we didn't sound too wanker life coachy when we were getting a little bit deep there, but I don't know. Hopefully it was nice. Hopefully people enjoyed it. So thanks for having me on again, mate. It's been fun.
Yeah, have a good life and don't do drugs.
Is that the end?
Yeah, see you in the next podcast.